Back in 2018, at the invitation of my now longtime collaborator Nico Martinez, I shifted my focus from still pictures to moving ones. Little did these 12th graders know that their films would end up from regional film festival to regional film festival, eventually being exhibited at Cinema Region 11, a national exhibition for short film. In the shift from professional photographer to cinematographer, I studied various scenes and how they were composed to find my own cinematic voice. One of these scenes that I still hold close to me today is from the second season of Sound Euphonium, episode 9.
これ読んだことある？
はい、私も持ってます。最初は大抵みんなこの本ですよね。
その本の著者、新藤正和っていうユーフォニアム奏者なんだけどさ。
有名ですよね。CD も持ってます。
私の元父親なの。紅茶冷めちゃうから飲もっか。
それどころではなく、
質問タイムです。
まず元父親とは。
それはわかるでしょ。親が離婚したの。だから田中飛鳥
ですよね。
私がまだ2歳の時だったから父親の記憶はほとんどないけどね。
それ以来会ってないんですか？お父さんとは。
母親がね、絶対に関わらせたくないみたいで。ほら、職員室で見たでしょ？あの人ちょっとおかしいから。
おかしいって？
束縛が強くてすぐヒステリックになるし、多分それに嫌気がさして出て行ったんだろうね。でも私あの人のこと嫌いってわけじゃないの。ここまで育ててくれたわけだし、その借りはあるから返さなきゃって気持ちはちゃんとある。
嫌いじゃないって言いましたけど、嫌いなんですよね、お母さんのこと。
好きとか嫌いとかじゃない。だって母親はどこまで行っても母親だから。どうあがいてもその人から生まれたという事実は動かない。枷ね。一生外せない枷。あの人の中には明確な幸せの理想像があって、そこに吹奏楽は入っていない。最初から。
じゃあどうして UFO？
小1の頃だったかな。いきなり届いたの。ボロいノートと手紙、それとユーフォニアムが。それから少しして近くにあった楽器店に UFO をやってた店員さんがいるって聞いてね。やってみたら案外うまく吹けちゃってさ。けどそれがすごく嬉しくて。
漫画みたいな話ですね。
でももちろんあの人は反対でさ。初めは我慢してたんだけど、一向にやめようとしない私と大喧嘩になって、それで成績が悪くなったらすぐやめるってことになったんだ。
だから。
ずっと好きなことを続けるために必死だった。だから周りを見ていつも思ってた。私は遊びでやってるわけじゃない。一人で吹ければそれでいいって。バチが当たったんだろうね。これ見て。全国大会のホームページ。ここ。
新藤正和。
これで欲が出た。全国に行けば演奏を聴いてもらえる。だからここまで来た以上、何としてでも次へ進んで北宇治の音を全国に響かせたい。分かった。じゃあはっきり言うよ。私はのぞみちゃんの復帰に賛成しない。この部にプラスにならないからね。全部私利私欲のためで、その結果がこれ。まあ神様は見てるってことだよね。ごめんね、すっかり時間使っちゃった。続きやろっか。
私アスカ先輩の UFO が好きです。合宿の朝先輩一人で吹いてましたよね。 あの曲聴いて思ったんです。私この音が好きだって。
あの曲、進藤さんが作った曲なの。UFO と一緒に送られてきたノートに書いてあった。
お父さんの。
もしかしたら私、あの曲を大前ちゃんに否定してほしいのかもしれないな。コテンパンにしてほしいのかも。
どうしてですか？私大好きですよ。あの曲、あったかくてなんか優しくて、ずっと聴いていたいです。今吹いてほしいくらい。
大前ちゃん、今日は珍しく積極的だね。
アスカ先輩がいつもと違うんですよ。
そっか。そうだね。
はい。
ねえ、川行こうか。吹きたくなっちゃった。
There are a few things that we need to keep in mind so we're all on the same page, specifically the color of the scene and how it is framed. Framing refers to what you see, what you don't see, and how that relates to the rest of the scene overall. One thing that I really want you to pay attention to is the distance between objects as portrayed from the perspective of the camera. We start off with a relatively simple establishing shot of tea and a bunch of snacks. Now notice how this is relatively balanced, relatively stable, hinting at the very straightforward nature of the scene that it's being established. And then we see the most glaring difference in this case is the difference between Kumiko and Asuka. Notice how Kumiko's face is well seen while Asuka is well hidden outside of the frame. This disparity foreshadows things to come. We jump to a shot of Kumiko's face and her relatively hopeful expression, who is then immediately struck by Asuka's revelation about her father. Notice the difference in distance and stance when it comes to this scene. It leaves Kumiko awestruck. Asuka then does something very subtle here. She matches the height of Kumiko's eyes and tries to shrug it off. However, this also puts Kumiko on the spot, and it's reflected in the adjusted focus that's shown by the camera here, zooming into her face and really emphasizing her emotions. The camera then proceeds to go back and forth between Kumiko and Asuka as if to establish the back and forth nature of the conversation. It eventually settles to this one overhead shot. Notice how the teacups from earlier that looked balanced are now quite imbalanced and off-kilter. This is then followed by an over-the-shoulder shot of Kumiko. Notice how Asuka's face is rather obscured, and that lends itself to the unease of the situation. This is then followed by a bunch of close-up shots and finally a shot of Asuka's face with a focus on her eyes. However, this is rather short-lived as she starts opening her mind and the camera follows suit. Then there's this similar sideways shot of Kumiko. However, notice that it's a bit further back than the shot previously. Now the focus has shifted squarely on Asuka and she starts to portray her memory. Her memories are quite interesting. Notice the change of color temperature that's being shown here. It seems like she is a lot more straightforward when she was a lot younger, and she doesn't show the number of complexities and insecurities that a high schooler would have. These colors of nostalgia and happiness provide the perfect foil to the present day that we are then thrown back into, and the viewer feels literally thrown back into it as the camera starts indulging into Dutch angles, eventually ending up fully upside down at the height of tension, snapping back into place at the tick of the hour. At length, Asuka decides to show her anxieties to Kumiko about her father attending as part of the judging committee. She even reminisces about the things she said to other members of the band. Eventually, she hesitates and tries to push it all back and tries to relive this facade. This is shown in this shot where the viewer is literally thrown outside and pushed away. However, Kumiko isn't backing down. She doubles down and pulls out another verbal sparring match. Notice how the positions from the beginning of the scene have been switched. Eventually, Asuka realizes to take Kumiko's words and feels a sense of relief as shown by a change of lighting, and then we have a fade in to the next scene. lot of things have changed in the interim between 2018 and now. I became an academic whose forte is in the field of communication. I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to reach more people about the things I'm interested in, hoping to strike a balance between being accessible and being informative. Thank you so much for watching. The reception on my last video was really positive. It really surprised me. I hope you're gonna subscribe to see whatever craziness I come up with next.